Hello there, greetings, generals. So, I'm here at the castle, and, a little virtual world, you could say. Certainly, the virtual world is much better than the real world. Now, it is a very lovely day because, I think it's yesterday or today, channel got to 50 subscribers, which is quite surprising because, the type of stuff that is covered, not very popular. I mean, it's been like about 5 months. And what happened is that some videos get more views and up subscriber count. So we're steadily getting there. It's probably the most difficult period, and also not only the most difficult period, but also most difficult subjects to cover. You know, the subjects are the ones which are most censored, and we also have the guidelines becoming ever worse. I must say that I have there's like two videos which got into trouble already. I mean, it's 5 months, so you know, uh, it's not been easy, but I think you could say that we survived. We survived, but we're surviving. We saw the recent collapse in, all these channels got knocked out. Right? In a way, because my channel was so tiny, you know, it was out of notice, but yeah, that would have been really, that would have been really annoying if the channel disappeared. But we're not small, so I don't know if it disappears, doesn't matter really. It's like whatever. Doesn't really have much on it, and all my videos are backed up, so I wouldn't lose any videos if it fell. But anyways, what is about to begin is a debate. Yeah, about 2 minutes. The debate is about to begin, and I'm gonna cover it, and I'm gonna comment on it as I usually do. Comment on debates. We're gonna comment on it live. I hope that doesn't cause any trouble. I'm gonna play with the audio, I guess, a little bit, keep it low, and talk over it, so that like commentary predominates. So let's see how I'm gonna be able to comment on this one. This debate is a very interesting one symbolically. You have Allsup. I believe that Allsup and Strikerino are more third positionist types. So they have that side, and then you have Vaush, which is supposed to be the commie, and Destiny, which is supposed to be the neoliberal. In the sense that third positions will use the term neoliberal. He's a neoliberal. So the two arch nemesis of the third position are gonna be debating the third position. So this is gonna be a very interesting thing symbolically speaking. There was already a debate between Destiny and Strikerino. Well, for Strikerino, so let's see if he has learned this time. Yeah, it's about 1 minute. It's gonna begin, but the real important thing when you're debating Strikerino is again, never allow him to drag you into detailed technical matters, like technical debates. Debates about details, whatever, because he's gonna go around you in circles with all the details. And he's probably read a lot, so I gotta be careful. Gotta be very careful. He's gonna effectively pigeonhole you into a particular, tiny battles here and there, like skirmishes, and you're gonna lose. You're gonna very lose like the plot of the greater plot, right? You're gonna the greater image, and that's how he traps you. Let me check to see if the debate is up. Almost there. Yeah, the debate's beginning. Now, a whole bunch of people are spamming trans rights. That's interesting. I think it's gonna start on its own. I'm gonna set the audio though. I can set audio. It's gonna be an interesting debate, I think. And they're gonna be debating race. Of course, they're gonna be debating race and police brutality. So that's a very important thing. Yeah. I think last time I saw Vaush debate police brutality with actual Justice Warrior, and then race was debated a little bit between Destiny and Striker, but well, this should be an easy one to win. Like this one should be an easy one to win. Actually, at this point, they should be able to push you know, Vaush and Destiny back. But if they fail to do so, if they fail to do this, then uh, you could say we would really lose. We would really lose confidence in the ability of the third positions to properly argue their position. So this is a very important debate, symbolically speaking. Again, you know, can they actually? But whatever it is, we shall see. We shall see. What I think is gonna happen. Okay, on the brutality, the brutality part is very easy to do that. Like, just sort of a few statistics here and there, and you win. And when the most tricky part will be when they're talking about the details of the cases. Uh, there's gonna be the typical stuff, and you're gonna have to. For the thing with the cases that you have to know a lot to be able to counter every single narrative they're gonna push. Like, um, you pick the autopsy report. Let's say they talk about Floyd, and they'll talk about the autopsy report, and let's say they'll bring up the other autopsy report, and then you have to know, for example, that the main autopsy report, that's the main alternative autopsy report, was written by this Mr. Baden, which is known for having messed up a whole bunch of other autopsies of similar kind, and he's like a celebrity, you know, a coroner or whatever the hell. So, he's not very credible or trustworthy, and I don't know if he even got to see the body in the first place. So, yeah, but I have a feeling they're gonna try to use that autopsy or whatever. I mean, because here's the thing: it's the only way they're gonna get away with, let's say, trying to play with the details of the fluid case. Because with autopsy, it just without autopsy and the police guidelines is the if you can say Striker and Allsup know about the content of the guidelines of the police and the content of the autopsy, they should be able to steamroll the Floyd matter easily. And then there's other matters. Dre shard also easy. I mean, the guy, used a weapon. They're gonna say that it's not lethal, but it's yeah, it's less lethal, but still, it's still a lethal weapon anyway. Maybe less lethal, but still is lethal. Uh, they're probably gonna use other excuses like, well, he had his back turned to them probably, and then all you have to do is be like, it doesn't mean anything. Someone can still be a threat, even with their backs turned on them. There was before Molly Meme got knocked out, he did an interview with this guy and this ex police officer, I think, and that guy showed an image where someone can literally have their back turned, against the police or towards the police. I mean, but they still can very so easily shoot back. Just because they have the back exposed to the police doesn't mean that they can't like do something. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it. For the one with the Brianna case, which they might bring up, that was concession. I think it should be a matter of, uh, it should be an easy concession of, yeah. I mean, no knock raids is a problem, is an issue. We could argue maybe the usefulness of those that kind of no knock warrants, but I don't think it's a hill that's worth fighting on. Those weird warrants, I don't think it's a hill worth fighting on. So I will not pick that battle really. And also now they're gonna talk about the race and the relation with the race and the whole thing. And I think that what must be done here, there's a very decisive advantage that uh that effectively you could say Striker and also have, which is that the burden of proof falls on Vaush and this tiny, the mob my racism. It's like, well, you have to prove that the race had a part to play in it. They have to prove it, and they have to make sure that the burden of proof always falls on the other side. Striker and also have to make sure that it never becomes a case of, well, you have to prove that race was not a factor. It's like, no, you have to prove that race was a factor because you're saying in affirmative that it is a factor. They're saying that they're guilty of race being affected. So this is now it's 7 minutes and they still haven't started, so that's weird. But all right. We're gonna wait. Do we have any more predictions? One thing I'm not sure of is for example, have forgotten, and I still gotta review, a lot of the old stuff, but I've forgotten a lot of the old cases, and they're probably gonna try to bring up the old cases back, whatever. Um, they might do that, probably do that. I mean, if I was Vaush and that's tiny, I would try to bring up the old cases, and then um, hope that that Striker and Allsup have forgotten all of the details, so then they can catch them on that. Like I think that's one of the better strategies to play, and when they're going about the old cases. Okay, just be like, let's hope that these guys have not refreshed on these facts, so that you can, catch them. Um, Again, other cases, you don't have to lie. I mean, you literally just have to know a little bit more about the case than the other one, and you can play the facts to, sort of build a narrative that's favorable to your side. And if the other side does not have the necessary facts and things to back them up, by the way, to counter that, then you win. And if you can't dismantle your narrative by showing facts to the contrary, then you can consistently build a narrative and sort of. But yes, I think a very decisive advantage that Striker and also have is even through the whole debate, they'll probably have the advantage of being able to like be like, you have to demand evidence for in fact they're on the defensive in many cases, so they can it's they can demand evidence from the other side, you know. So from what I'm seeing, there's no debate yet, so I am not sure what to do. Let's become knight at the castle, right? Isn't that lovely? We're waiting so long that it's become night over here. So yeah, that's very funny, very hilarious how it's become night. Wow, these people suffer started a debate. God damn it. God damn it. Why you do this? I think I'll keep the debate sound very low, and I'll just comment on what's happening. Because I guess other people will be listening to the debate personally, or on their own devices, so, I'll try to keep it down here. Although, speakers, speakers tend to echo a little bit, so we'll see. Solo debate. Okay. I think the debate is beginning because the song is up, so at least there's that. Anyway, I'll still be walking around. This part of the castle is not done, by the way. I still gotta work on it, I guess. But it's not bad. It's like an extra fortification, an extra like high place. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So the debate is about to begin. And we'll see how it goes. Hmm. Yeah, music doesn't pass through it seems. Okay. Yeah, this should be good. It's not too loud. Anyways, they're probably preparing. Do I have anything else to say about what I predict for the debate? Not really. Man, I think there was I tried to comment on Striker versus Destiny, but that didn't go that well because I don't know, it was too long. It was too long winded. Thing is with me doing usually I pause it to like talk, but now I'm gonna have to like go quickly, right? I'm gonna have to process it quickly and just keep go with the flow. Anyway, it's a test. Let's see. You know, I checked. I checked some other channels to see. Okay, well, does the subject matter influence? And the subject matter influences a lot. Like I checked this sort of like milk toast conservative. You know that milk toast conservative thing, and he got 2,000 subscribers in 2 months. It's like wow, like I've barely got any subscribers, and I got 2,000. But again, a big part is the subject matter. If it's milk toast stuff, then a lot of people are gonna consume that content, right? The milk toast stuff, the typical milk toast stuff. Oh, Trump's gonna win, and conservatives are right, and delicious Souza type of stuff. Yeah, that type of stuff is what's gonna. It's really popular. It seems. There was another video which talked about white. Oh well, you should check your privilege, whatever the hell. And that video had 700 views or something, and I respond to it, and you're like, well, it has a very similar title, right, and subject matter, but it only gets nothing really. And I'm like, is it that I'm branding it? I'm not sure if I'm branding it improperly, or is it that this is subject matter itself, or the words in the video is what really doing the difference. I don't know, particular sentences. I don't think it's only keywords. I think it's sentences, particular sentences which are might be influenced it. I don't know, because I notice impression. It's not like the impression percentage is like 0.1% or something like that, right? It's that the actual impressions are very few. So there's not even that many impressions going around for people to click on. Now these fools are still preparing themselves, it seems. Now the people are spamming the chat. Of course they are, by the way. Do you expect them not to spam the chat? That would be surprising. But yeah, come on, let's go. Let's go. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, uh, we'll just be looking around and seeing, waiting for the debate. Yeah, we're gonna see what's up. I'm probably not gonna move that much, to be honest, after the debate starts. I'm just going to. Yeah, sometimes this thing's going down, but whatever. Yeah, this thing's very buggy. Internet's not very great, but well. I'm having to load this freaking debate as well, so that's putting load on the system. So all right. This thing is slow as hell. Quite goddamn slow. Okay, so we're steadily going to get up to the actual debate, and I think that okay. So what I think is that the thing is that if it was just striker, I would be like, yeah, strikers don't. It's like a crush again. But I don't know Allsup. I don't know how well he debates. I think I've only seen him debate once with like Nikki. So, but that's a long time ago I saw that. So like I don't even remember anymore. So I don't know. Allsup is a wild card for me. Like for how the debate's gonna turn out, it's Allsup that's gonna decide it. I think that Vaush is gonna be easy to outflank. I mean, Vaush is not that smart. He's educated, you can say, but okay. The debate's begin. The debate's begun. Let me fix the audio a little bit because I can't really hear it that much. Okay, let me see. I gotta make sure the audio doesn't leak. Yeah. Yeah, the audio's not leaking. So Yeah, Super Bowl. Yeah, I guess you could call it Super Bowl because it's a tag team. It's four people debating itself too. So that's hmm, yes. Hmm. Yeah. So they introduced the Alpha band. Yeah, they're introducing the debaters. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that Allsup and so Striker are much closer to each other ideologically than Vaush and Destiny. But you know, let's face it, Vaush, is up Destiny's ass. So that's how he can lower his commie stuff for the time being. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to last an hour and a half, it seems. So okay. Ah boy. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna do the half an hour of super chats. I mean, yeah, whatever. No point. I'm just interested in a debate. Well, I use the super chats for something else. I'll use it for what you could say is summary or whatever. Or let's say I leave something out during the actual debate. I might talk about it. So, mm. Well, we're at the peak, and now it's time to hear the debate. Okay, so here's the intro. Uh oh. Uh oh. Oh boy. Hmm. Okay. They're gonna show some weird video now. Very interesting. Let me see what the hell's going on. Let's see what the hell is going on. Oh, that guy. Hunter Avalon. Yeah, Hunter Avalon is super blue pilled. He used to be quote unquote blue based, but he's not blue pill as hell. This Hunter Avalon guy. Yeah, pathetic. Hilarious. Uh-huh. I don't know why they let Hunter Avalon put a video in. I mean, that guy. But whatever, he wishes them all luck. So that's nice. That's nice of him, I guess. Go into this debate and be like, hey, everyone. Uh, favorite YouTuber. Well, so now he's talking about race. I think this is also. Yeah, yeah. So now he's talking about race, and he's positioning it. And the way he's positioning it is that whites are under attack by a racist attack by other people. Yeah. A lot of symbolic effects, such as the topic of statues. There's symbolic attacks as well. You know, and now he's positioning the debate, and what he's saying, hey, look, this sort of multiracial, multicultural, diversity, experiment is not working, and the current situation we have today currently is what's actually you could say are symptoms of the failure of inclusivity. So this is what the positioning he's gonna start with. Yeah, yeah, and now what he's doing is he's also not only positioning from the perspective of whites, but he's also positioning the perspective of blacks. So he's like from both sides, there's trouble. From both sides coming from trouble. So, yeah. So it's showing that the inclusivity and diversity is not even working for, let's say, the people who are supposed to be backed by, let's say, blacks. They too are also getting hurt, just like whites getting hurt. Yeah. Yeah, so now it's trying to play that inclusiveness thing, and this race tension is used as a way of really fragmenting the cores of the United States, America getting destroyed. You know, so that's another thing. It's a wrecking ball. He says of the core of America, just the family, and all that community, and also he played in a little bit in the socialistic stuff. Yeah. Okay. Here there's a joke. Okay. There's a very interesting posture you're doing. The posture they're doing now is like, well, there's really a main debate between whites. It should be a really big debate between whites and blacks, but now you just have whites debating other whites on the matter of between whites and blacks. Uh, so he's posturing in that way. Yeah, he's trying to like, yeah. So I see that Stryker and also we're trying to include the blacks into the whole conversation, the whole debate. Um, Pretty smart move to be honest for the normies. Uh, so for the normies, for the normies, this is gonna work. I think. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure how Vaush and Destiny gonna react to this, but yeah, this posture is very interesting. Yeah. So I know that Allsup and Striker are let's say less aggressively like white perspective, and are focusing more on also other perspective than the black perspective. So it almost seems as if they're trying to say like, well, we understand the black perspective better than let's say Vaush and Destiny figured it out. So very interesting posturing. Yeah. Now he's talking about affirmative action, pretty much. So the privileges of blacks, apparently. Yeah. So blacks are, saying that hey, blacks are actually pretty privileged in the United States. They're actually pretty well off. Interesting. Okay, so he's showing the contradiction that blacks are the portion number of people in government jobs, while whites have overrepresentation in poorer classes. So that's actually interesting. You, the thing is that you see the very strong sort of combination in that he's not only going through a angle from race, but also a angle from class. So it's a double angle attack. It's two angles. The first angle is class, and the second angle is well, the first angle is race actually, and the second angle is class. Okay, so he's making it a class thing, a race class thing. He's combining it. So that's a very interesting thing. Yeah. You could. The funny part is that we expect this tiny to be probably the only like capitalistic person in the debate. Yeah. So now, yeah. So he's presented evidence to show that actually the country is not anti-black but more anti-white. Yeah. Okay, that's a vouch. Vouch. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So vouch is positioning. You know, he's positioning. Yeah. So he's um bringing the affirmation that racism is what causing blacks to be treated worse by the justice system. Well, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now Vaush is poisoning the well. Vaush is poisoning the well. He's like, oh, you're just doing theater, right? He's he's doing the conspiracy theory card. Oh, you're just conspiring. Yeah. So You know. Okay, yeah, the crime statistics. Yeah, you see. So let's see. Yeah, so Vaush is doing the socioeconomics, must studies proving socioeconomics. So yeah, so so he's so what he's doing is he's saying that um supposedly studies account for the increased crime statistics, and that blacks are getting are getting treated worse, even accounting for the higher rate of crime. So that's what he's saying. Yeah, yeah. The, now the irony is that and as a Vouch is pushing the idea that well you're just conspiring, you're putting on a conspiracy theory that you're saying that because people are trying to knock out statues down, then the country the country's bringing down statues, and well that doesn't mean that there's actually anti-white. They're just being conspiracy theory. Yeah, yeah. And this time he used the GDP argument to say that well America is still ahead, so the diversity is not negatively affected it. Just you know. Okay, so that was an deduction. So the deduction is the striker will take a more race class combination strike, while Vaush and Destani will again. You see what it is. They're gonna try to play with the details. They'll play with the details. They'll launch a detail strike. The detail strike. So they're gonna have to be careful. Yeah. Yeah. But the irony though is that they're saying that well the other side is doing a conspiracy theory about anti-white, but then Vaush is saying well it must be racism that they're getting more heavily affected by let's say stop and frisk, and thus that gives credence to an anti-black conspiracy in the country. So that's the irony. Vaush accuses. I think that Stryker and also should accuse them of conspiracy theory of saying of anti-black conspiracy theory, but they didn't do it. And conspiracy theory is a very powerful language tool. Also, yeah, yeah. So another challenge is the very fact that there's these studies which definitely prove that indeed there's race in the justice system, which is a very important point. I think that you could say that the attack the details will be the hard point. So it's a hard point. If they manage to break the detail, if they manage to break the hard point, then they're gonna win. If they manage to breach the study, quote unquote studies, mm, yeah. again, again, that's interesting enough. Bausch is like cheerleading Destiny. Yeah, so what this thing is doing is he's gonna cherry pick studies that support his narrative, and he's gonna push them. So he's gonna have to so Allsup and Trike are gonna be very careful because Destiny is already playing with the studies and the details. Yeah, yeah. And then in a way, this is a very important point. That Destiny said that well, if you go against us in this point, then you must be well. Here's a problem. Striker and Destiny, I mean Striker and also might very well have to crack that particular point. So that's the thing. Mm. Yeah, but okay. So what? Destiny withdrew back. Yeah. So Destiny pulled back and said that okay, sure, we're not gonna go against the idea against the fact that they commit more crime, but um Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. This. This. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that the committing, even though they commit a lot more crimes, the system is treating them much worse, even so, even more worse than the disproportionality in crime. Yeah. Okay. So now I think it's Stryker. Yeah, Stryker is trying to like pinpoint particular studies in, let's say, New York, and to say, well, look, the okay, so here's a very contradictory thing. On one side, Vaush and this time you're saying that that the justice system is treating the blacks too harshly, while um the other side, Allsup and Stryker, are saying no, actually that's the opposite. You're complete opposite. It's actually whites who are getting a disproportionate number of stops and such compared to the crime rate. So you have two very contradictory, like opposite stances on the facts. Very funny thing is that so far I know I heard Stryker and Allsop have not yet insulted the other side, saying, "Oh, you're stupid," or "you're conspiracy," or whatever. So if you were to the etiquette, etiquette, and when you talk about etiquette and people throwing insults around, um, Stryker and Allsop have the upper hand in that regard in etiquette, and that they're not like using these dirty tricks of poisoning the well and insulting the opponents. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, so they're gonna attack the way that the studies are interpreted are getting attacked. Okay, okay. So then what he says, he said, "Oh, actually, it's the increase this disproportionality in, let's say, stops is not that great, very small." Yeah. So there should not be an anti-white thing. Yeah. This side is talking about contraband, focusing on contraband. While so the one side is big, but the amount of contraband they're finding is not as much. The other side said, well, you count that with the number of warrants, that blacks have more warrants on them. So that's why more stops. It's not necessarily they're stopping them for contraband, but it could very well be considered stopping them for warrants. Stryker and Vaush, and this time they have not addressed this point. They have dismissed, they've like bypassed it. Yeah, this time Vaush are launching these dismissal attacks. What they're saying is, oh, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. They're dismissing by saying, well, that's nothing to do with what we're talking about. Yeah, so now I think it's Allsup. Um, Allsup is trying to push on them and say, look, listen, Ding Dong, we're already showing you that the factor of warrants of the proportion amount of warrants for blacks instead of whites will justify, well, not justify, but account for the increased number of stops for blacks compared to whites. Right. Okay. Okay. So this is gonna be a very. This seems to be a pretty good way of attack. Yeah. Yeah. Vaush is doing the pressing them on sources. Uh oh. Okay. Strikers will be aggressive. They're saying that Destiny lied. Let's see. So let's see how it goes. Oh, because Destiny was like, oh well, it didn't have a serious effect. Yeah. Striker and Vaush are like sorry, I mean Destiny and Vaush are being really disrespectful. So you know, with everything else equal, they'll be losing. Like if their arguments were losing for being assholes, because Striker and Allsup are being pretty damn civil and not interrupting, not that much. And also like Vaush and Destiny are like laughing and all that. So okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, so now he's doing that. It does stop and frisk, because now they're fighting on the battle of whether stop and frisk actually helps or not. And now what happening is that they're playing the does correlation equal causation battle. Yeah, the correlation equal causation battle. Yeah. Okay, like an outlier. So if it drops 90%, well, it's already an outlier in the first place. Okay, so so it's saying it's New York is an outlier, so it's the effects of policies on that city is gonna be also an outlier. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so they're making Allsup is making fun of this Vouch saying, "Oh, so you think that changing policing has no effect at all on crime?" To make fun of them, like seriously, which is ridiculous to be honest. I mean, the idea that if you change policing, that you're not gonna have a decline, change in crime. I mean, not very reasonable. Yeah, the problem is that a lot of evidence is being demanded, which is very difficult to gather because you're always going to be hitting that correlation as an equal causation thing. Yeah, the demanding studies. Okay, right now in this battle is going not so well because now the somehow it's this tiny and Voucher just pushing for well you need studies and sources, which this is the first strategic mistake of Allsop and Striker. They should not have put themselves in a position where the other opposition can demand studies from them and prove their points. They should be in the defensive to force the other side to force to have to present evidence. But now they have to present evidence. So they have to find a way to turn around, and which is probably going to be when they have to prove that racism is actually um, This is looking at particular cases to prove that in those particular cases, racism is not included. I think a counterattack would have been a very easy counterattack would have been to say, look, it's not enough to say that, oh well, these people disproportionately affected this word as racism. Um, because when you look at racism, racism is taught, right? Racism is taught, and thus you have to show evidence that this thought is actually widespread in the police force and this lean to this. So that's the key which Allsup and Striker could, get the advantage of having to force the other side to prove their point, but now they're put themselves in a position where they have to prove their point and they have to present evidence. So this is a very bad position for Striker and Allsup. Okay, they compare more cities. Vaush is being annoying with the data, but yeah, I mean, he, Allsup and Striker put themselves in a position where Vaush can do that. Well, do you have any data for that? Mistake. Yeah, so now they're arguing again. They're fighting on the battle of the details, right? They're fighting on well this study and that statistic and this city and that city. In the usually that's tiny, and this tiny will do better in that kind of debate. So I wouldn't. It's not a good idea. Mm-hmm. Okay, so strikers concede a little point, saying there might be certain cases where there is a racism. However, that yeah, okay, so Vaush and Strike, but the concession was almost went disastrously because Vaush and this tiny tried to be like, oh, so you say that there is some racism, and then he's like, no, 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 I said perception, perception. Okay, now they're characterizing each other again. It's really annoying. Like, can I stop? Yeah, yeah. Talk about perception now. Reality versus perception. So blacks may perceive something reality a certain way, but that's not how it actually is. Yeah. I think that the this tiny argument of what about GDP and my military. That's why inclusiveness is working. It's like that's weak, weak. America had 50% of the GDP of the planet in 1945 when it was less inclusive. So, what evidence is that? Yeah. Again, this tiny characters. Oh, this is a weird conversation to say that. Let's say maybe whites and blacks may not very well easily be able to live next to each other. It might be difficult. It might require other solutions. Yeah. Okay, so now they're arguing again on the battle of stop and frisk again. Yeah, stop and frisk again. I will not fight on the battle of stop and frisk. Okay, so Vouch is again doing that characterizing the opponent with, "Oh, you're just a conspiracy theory." Yeah, yeah. Well, um, yeah, and also Vouch is doing the typical filibustering of, "Oh, we have the data and the studies on our side." Come on, He's pretending. He's doing this rhetorical bullshit where he's pretending that his side is the only side which brought studies and data and all this. Okay, debating. Okay, they're debating details again on how many blacks were in New York or not. Okay. Oh, oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So there's battle going on. I think that this battle is becoming really petty. Yeah, the debate is burning down to becoming really petty because now they're destroying numbers and studies and statistics around it and calling each other conspiracy theorists stupid and this stuff. Also, again, Destiny and Vaush are doing the strategy again of like chuckling a little bit, like laughing, like making fun, kind of, because they're trying to give the impression that well, there are other my opponents' opinions are ridiculous, and also Vaush is virtually saying lyricism. You know, that's the bullshit. It's like you know, sickening, really. Okay, then it's this tiny being sarcastic. The smugness of Vaush and this tiny is just yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, this tiny is starting to filibuster. Okay, and then okay, this time he is doing a very clever trick. The clever trick is that he's doing as implicit. Well, the intellectuals are on our side, therefore our thing is true. Because he's talking about my intellectual my educated person who might have made a study or whatever the hell that agrees with us. That seems to be the implicit thing. You're just throwing random facts together. You know, you don't have an educated person to put all the factors together. It's supposed to, this is what I think boy calls an authoritative um like distribution of knowledge, you could say, or vision of knowledge, where you say, well, only certain authorities can decide on knowledge, and the layman cannot decide on knowledge. So, well, if the layman decides to put some stats together and try to connect the dots, well, he can't do that. It must be done by Mr. Educated Man, who may or may not agree with us. Very slimy. But it's that my intellectuals agree with us, therefore we're right. Yeah. Happened in the year 2000s, and then this, like, no, actually, it did happen in 1990s. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Striker and also trying to get upper hand. Starting to get upper hand. The thing is that this tiny and Vaush are being so smug that it's just the condescension is just it's making them that even if their arguments were solid, which by the way they aren't, um, it's just like they're unlikable. Destiny continues with the Obama studies. Obama studies. Destiny and Vaush should constantly pushing this thing about, well, you can't use any statistics because before some scientist or some kind of another would make a study using the data and then come with a conclusion. Yeah, Vaush decided doing this. Oh, well, my educated person is the only person who can interpret the data. Yeah, pitiful. Yeah, no, no, no. Yeah, yeah, hitting it right on the head. Allsup is hitting on the authoritative view of knowledge, saying, oh, so data is only valid if it's packaged in a study by a scientist? Yeah. No, 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 no. This tiny is being a slimy asshole saying, oh, you're creating context so that they're strawmanning the other side saying that, well, the other side just wants to pick separate data sets, data points, and use that to prove their point. This is using studies, you know? Well, my scientists will contextualize things. That's what Destiny is doing. Slimy. No, you don't need a scientist to contextualize things. That's ridiculous. It's a very authoritative view of knowledge. So it's that if you just can just get your academics to like be on your side, then they can make studies that feed your narrative, and if anyone wanted to challenge that, they can't because, well, you're not a scientist. Yeah, this tiny starting group that it's going again over the detail. It's doing the sort of like oh, I'm gonna explain basic concepts to you, trick. Yeah, yeah, this is very treating like children. If I ever say, oh, you don't know this, I'm gonna explain you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think we're like halfway. We're halfway. Okay, so the last thing he did was he did but there's so many factors involved. Yeah, but what the fact we're doing is you're saying that there's so many factors involved, it's so complicated that only a scientist will be really be able to piece together the data. Okay, so now the reference about the studies. Okay, find a study. Study, study, study. Yeah, this is insane reliance on authoritative view of knowledge. The problem is that we have to trust the academic or the scientist or the whatever the hell it is that they're actually doing what they said they're doing and they're not playing the data. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen, for example, the replication crisis. We've seen like sociology, for example, how so many of the uh, major like what were considered solid experiments or pieces of evidence or studies turn out to be simply can't be replicated, right? So this thing about, well, we should just trust the scientists and all the my studies. Well, you can't argue against us because I have a study. Come on. Yeah, that's a very dirty trick. Very dirty trick, I think. But what I'm saying is that, well, this study agrees with me that that there was bias, therefore it must be true. And because I have the study, I'm gonna dismiss everything you've said. All the data points you brought, the arguments you brought, are dismissed away because I got this study that agrees with me. This is what they're doing. So they're doing. Yeah, yeah. They're making things overcomplicated. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Supposedly the study accounts for many things. No. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. This is a very strong point. Vaush just puts a point that, well, we're not really arguing whether racism exists, but whether it is a good thing. Now, here's the thing. First of all, yeah, interesting. Yeah, they're hiding behind the studies again. Yeah. Vaush is pressure saying that, well, I mean, the chance of it, the chances of it not being racism, according to this study, is one in like insanity. So it must be racism, according to the study. That's what Vaush is doing. Well, I have a study here. It proves racism. The problem again with studies is you can't trust them. You know, the number of Marxists that we find in the universities, I just don't trust, especially the sociology department. I don't trust any of these studies. Like, I just don't. I just don't. And here's the thing: we bring these studies, and they counteract what we see, right? We just see these things, and we're like, um, look, your studies counteract what we see. Is like, you are not to account for that, right? And again, I don't trust. Okay, okay, they're trying to insult each other. Okay, okay. Strikers become heated. Yeah, again, again. This time is doing this time is characterizing. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah, Vouch is trying to do that stupid bullshit, but I'm gonna explain to you things. Very very. Thing is, that Striker also not attacking their studies properly. Here's the thing though, like the problem also with these studies is they bring a study. Now you don't you have a life, right? You're not gonna be looking into every single freaking study you can find. So they can bring a study, and it can be bullshit, right? But at this point, they bring a study. You never even got a chance to read it, and then what? What are you gonna do? Maybe you know some other study or whatever, and you get to disprove it. So it's like it's pointless. because the open thing is, well, blacks commit a lot more crime, and then what Vaush that study brings is, well, but look at all they dazzle you with these millions of other factors that are supposed to be there to try to prove that, oh well, there is disproven. And mm, now, but Allsup and Stryker have showed that cops will shoot whites earlier than blacks. They should pressure this. They should pressure this point because they can break through with this point by saying, "Listen, um, this shows that the police themselves are biased, and not that we have to infer that there's bias from different outcomes, which is what common is though. Oh well, there's different outcomes, therefore it must be racism, which is what they're doing with their quote unquote studies. Yeah, yeah. And then once one said it's pedantic, yeah, it's true. They are pedantic, very pedantic. Okay, yeah, Vaush is being sarcastic. Vaush is once again arguing that his studies are very compelling. They have compelling evidence for their case that it's racism everywhere. Huh. Yeah, and Vaush is arguing the ridiculous point that, well, why women are extremely sexist and the women are bad off. It's like that's ridiculous. Like, come on. Like maybe you can present a study, but I mean that just defies all life. It defies all life experiences. Like so now Fox is gonna try to go through all the studies to be like, well, look at all the evidence we got. The study experiment. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. What? What? Yeah. Vosh is being an asshole again. Oh, you're just being bad faith, asshole. Yeah. Going again. Blacks to be more biased against blacks, which is bizarre, right? Yeah. The problem is the beginning of the debate is a problem because they're debating. They were first debating about whether these this bias even exists. To me, it doesn't really matter. I will not fight on that hill. I will not have fought on the hill of well, is there actual evidence? Is it is it is there actual, yeah? But it's saying is there actual evidence that that the bias actually is real, right? But I would not argue this point. I would argue if the bias is actually justified. That's what I'd argue. Like the idea that, but as it turns out that this tiny and this tiny and Vaush actually had plenty of studies. I mean, the studies are pretty slippery and all that, and very selective and cherry picked. But they have enough studies to be able to resist Allsup and Striker. Well, is there evidence for this or not? Yeah, yeah. You know what? To be honest, doesn't have to argue that the bias doesn't exist. Just has to argue that the bias is justified for whatever reason, or present evidence that hey, maybe the bias is justified. For example, when they said that the jurors across the board were all biased against blacks, they're like, how can that be? Even blacks are biased against blacks. How can that be? Yeah, yeah. The problem now is the debate is that also is that Strike and also they went on this bad list. They found this hill of well, actually, there's not that much anti-black argument. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's time he's trying to pressure the point down because he found a hole where it looks like the other side conceded the point that there is bias against blacks in the justice system, and thus then he's not pushing that point to try to like score the decisive victory. So yeah, I think that's very smart. Yeah, but yeah, if you're gonna fight Vaush and the Steiny, bring a shit ton of studies, like huge ones, and also go read what you expect they're gonna bring up. And one interesting thing though is that they did not fight on the individual cases of police brutality. They didn't do that at all, and I'm like, damn it! There was a perfect opportunity to like to actually pressure on Destiny and Vouch, but they didn't do it. They didn't do it. They didn't pressure on that side, right? So, mm, yeah, I think there was a strategic mistake by Allsup and Striker. They they did a very serious strategic mistake by effectively saying, yeah, effectively, what they did was they said, well, there is bias against his black, so now Striker and Allsup are pushing their own. Hmm, but they're trying to push. Oh, hilarious. Okay, yeah, yeah, okay. They're talking about the voter base, but who cares? Yeah, there's a lot of interruption going on. Bad. Yeah, what Allsup and Striker saying is that if you have an end of state, then racism it becomes a not problem. It doesn't become a problem anymore. It ceases being a problem. Like multiracialism, multiculturalism is what brings in the problem of racism. Uh, Yeah, Vaush is okay. Interesting. No, Vaush. Uh-oh, he's playing with them. Is built in a way in which even if it was only run by blacks, it would still be against blacks, which is bizarre to be honest. I mean, so the system is anti-black no matter what. No matter who runs it, it's anti-black. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Yeah, study, studies. That the system is just against blacks because whatever. Is that they have disproportionately higher levels of getting accused of things or getting found guilty of things. So we're comparing blacks with whites, so that or with other races, that we're getting more treated worse compared to the other races. Now, but if that problem is not resolved, even if you just keep blacks with blacks, how are you gonna solve the problem then? There's no other way to solve it. There's no way to solve it. This time he is leveraging his last victory when he fought with Striker, and Striker said, they fought with Jazz, right, the battle of Jazz, and that was a bad battle. Yeah, so this time he's being slippery and be like, oh, I beat your ass last debate. Yeah, from yeah, yeah, but from what I can see, strategically it was more messed up. You know, the problem, the problem with Striker and no, but the problem with Striker and Allsup is the amount of pressure on the very definition of systemic, because Vaush and Destiny were slippery, and they decided to make systemic just means different outcomes. So if blacks are treated differently, that's systemic. Systemic just means really widespread, I guess. Not that it's built into the system, not that the rules are the way that they are, not that the mechanism of the system is the way that it is, and that's what's causing it, but merely the fact that there's an outcome, different outcome for different races. That is systemic racism. Even if that's caused specifically by the bias of the people themselves and not the system, it's so systemic. So the definition of systemic is a bit messed up. It's like, what does systemic even mean then? Is it the system or is it the people? Okay, so yeah, bad, bad, bad. Here's the thing. I would have never allowed the debate, and most one of the debaters, I would have never allowed the debate to go on the level of, oh, must study my study against your study. Because you just cannot win. You cannot win that. You can't win that must study versus your study. Shit, cannot win it. It's impossible. You can end up with a stalemate at most. Interesting. Like I said, now they're moving towards, okay, but what about hate crimes? Well, for hate crimes, we have explicit bias in the system. Hmm. No, Vaush is being an asshole again, interfering. Like, shut the hell up. Let me talk. Let's Striker talk. I hear studies. Ah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And Allsup is attacking again, saying, "Oh, here comes the ivory tower." Yeah, that's a very good. The authoritative vision of knowledge, or knowledge that comes from the ivory tower. Well, it must come from a study. Yeah, yeah. What? Yeah, that's a different. That's a difference. Yeah, Allsup and Striker take a I think I don't know how alt man called it. I think it was like a sort of free. I think it was called like it was called it was called like a free vision. I think a free vision of knowledge. So it's like um people, the normal persons can also interpret facts and get knowledge from that, while the authoritative people, all they look for is, oh well, if it's not proven by a study, if an academic or a scientist or a researcher do not actually um make a study, quote unquote, or look at it, then it means that the facts just to be dismissed. Yeah, yeah, because every time that Alsop and Striker brings up an argument, it's always waved away with, well, but must study. We can't look at any fact. We has to be packaged in a study. Which I get it. Maybe they want to check for other factors, but you don't. Here's the thing: you don't have to check every single thing with a study. Come on, right? Vouch again is describing describing opponents, poison in the well. Ha ha ha. That's true. Well, race and political brutality. You know, I, solution could also be part of the talking. So hmm. Yeah, yeah. Oh boy, what happens? Yeah. Oh, so they're talking nowadays, and because in case the man should drag you into that stupid like cesspool of throwing studies at each other, at least you have a massive stack of studies to just keep throwing at them. Because let's face it, the problem with these issues is that because of the biases in the academia, you're gonna end up with studies that are on your side and studies that are on their side. So for every study, for every study that they can bring, you can bring another study against it and nullify it. So you would end up with nullifying all your studies if you bring enough of your studies. It's, I mean, it's annoying, but that's what you're. That's better off than bring up studies and then you don't have a study of your own to go against it. because then he can just go and say, but my context, but my academic knows more than the layman does. Right? The thing is, though, is that you can't really debate if you have two very contradictory visions of how knowledge works. You have a vision which states that in two vision, one which is authoritative vision of knowledge. The authoritative vision of knowledge says or sees that only academics will really interpret the facts or really get knowledge, and then the other side doesn't agree with that. And you can't really debate because well, if my academic doesn't, if the academics don't agree, whatever the academics say is true, and the other side will say, I can look at the facts on my own. I don't need freaking academics who like um baby like baby me around the facts, baby me around the truth. Yeah, yeah. So okay, so in looking at chat, there's some people are saying nationalist won, nationalist destroyed. It's very clear that the people who were more on nationalist side, because progressive on side, nationalist side, the people who were more the people who were more backing on the national side, I think the national side won. The people who back more on the progressive side, the progressive side won, and it's because I think that the debate was a stalemate. Although I think that here's the thing, um, if Destiny and Vaush had not acted like assholes, I think they would have gained, they would have had the general upper hand. But because they acted such utter, such unmannered, this unmannered people, like bad mannered people, it's the same. So yeah, yeah, the chat is going very quickly, and some people are saying nationalist wins. Some said that nationalists lost. I am not very sure. My, I think that it was a stalemate. I think it was a stalemate. So I don't think any side won. I think that Striker also got outmaneuvered strategically in the debate, and but the Vaush and Destiny just acted such a. In some ways, the outmaneuvering might have been because here's the thing, because outmaneuvering may in part have been due to Destiny and Vaush's asshole behavior that allowed them to like, because why did they behave like that to get an upper hand, to get a rhetorical upper hand, to more easily outflank the opponents by being able to like kind of like weaken the other side by playing around and being like, oh yeah, you're just a conspiracy, you're just stupid, you're just this. So yeah, yeah, I say that this is a stalemate. Yeah, it's a stalemate. It's yeah, it's um not no side one. There's some Groiper kinds in the chat who are like my weakness, my weakness. I know they're Groipers because the only people who really use that word are Groipers. My weakness. Hmm. Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So that's okay. Let's see what's happened. Yeah. Yeah. Quiz even. I can't. Vaush cannot stop trying to describe the enemy or his opponent's like statements. Like, shut the fuck up. Stop describing them. Stop trying to poison the well. Yeah. 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 And okay, Vaush and Destiny are doing something that's so disgusting. What they're saying is, well, we're not saying that whites are being against black. What we're saying is that the systems are bad. It's like, yes, but we know exactly that you think that the systems are built by white people, And thus, if the system if the system is against blacks, if the system hurts blacks, whites build that system or dominate that system, and thus it's whites' fault, right? But that sounds bad. So they're backing up and saying, yeah, yeah, that's right. Okay, so Vaush is saying that, well, it's a very interesting. Well, you being against the ivory tower is only because you cannot you can't find studies. Yeah, you can't find studies that prove your point. That's why you don't like the ivory tower. That's why you don't have an authoritative view of knowledge because the authorities are not on your side. That's what Vaush is saying. But there is, in fact, a justified. There is an argument against authoritative view of knowledge. There is an actual argument against it. I think All Hype has a video on that. So okay, look at the chat. Oh my God, someone's calling a bot of Slanesh cultist, which is um yeah I'm talking to yeah that's a 140k code. Yeah, yeah. So the destiny is hammering now. It was a very weird thing where Striker and also went on this thing where well we wanted to talk with blacks and we think that the blacks represent blacks. Okay, come on. Yeah, I think that's over. Yeah, yeah that's over. It's super chats now. So yeah, that's not really something I am really gonna care about. I'm going to lower the stream to yeah I'm going to lower the stream because I'm going to conserve I'm going to conserve playback. I mean, bandwidth. So now the debate is really bad. Um, yeah, I'm here in the Discord of yeah, I'm in JF Discord. So and I'm gonna see what other people think. But yeah, I think this is a mess. So yeah, um, yeah, that was a strategic mistake, but also a striker. That was just bad. Like, I'm gonna see what the other generals think on the debate, but I think it was a stalemate. So Vaush, Destiny, and like assholes, and but they kind of outflanked Allsup and they kind of Allsup and Strikery. So yeah, okay. So one things that Vaush and Destiny are, yeah, oh yeah, you can see logical fallacies. Yeah, so Destiny and Vaush use a lot of logical fallacies. A lot of this assholey thing of oh well you are this you are that. Yeah, yeah. So Vaush and Destiny used every single logical fallacy you can think of. Poisoning the well and insulting and belittling the belittling opponents, constantly describing the other's arguments instead of addressing them, and also using a very authoritative, I think it's called authoritative view of knowledge. A very authoritative view of knowledge, which aka means my studies, my professors, my researchers, agree with me, right? And they got bogged down to the idea that, well, all facts and observable things can be disregarded if there's a study that says otherwise. Yeah, that says otherwise. Effectively, if there was a study which stated the sky was red, that would be more that would be acted like this way. And besides, my connection's really yeah, so I think I might close it. Who knows? But but I gotta talk with other generals about this, and I gotta really concentrate to concentrate my mind. I'm gonna have to cut a stream off. I just can't think and process it fully, and then I might make a video later about more comprehensive after I thought it over, because right now it's really I think that's the last thing I want to talk about, which is it's really difficult to you know think constantly like think about what's happening in the debate, and then in the same way, let's say, write down, it's really difficult, doing multiple things at once. So that's why, to rethink it over, I gotta just shut it down. So, generals, that is, I think, all for today. And that was a 50 sub special. 50 people subbed. That's an amazing thing, I must say. And I would say, see ya, generals, and have a good night.